Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from 8th group, and first of all, let me introduce me and my friends in this group. My name is Paisal Ramdhani, and then the other is Ripal, Puji, Rahayu, and then Setia, Cipta, Pratama. And in this meeting, I would like to describe about the basic principle of mimesis. But maybe first, I would like to tell the definition of mimetic theory itself. And then, as we know, in last week meetings, that mimesis comes from the Greek, and then it means imitation, copy, or a representation, and it can be interpreted as an approach that views literary work as imitation or shadows of the real world. The concept refers to the representation of human types and action in general rather than imitation of nature. Mimesis can also be interpreted as a theory which in its method forms a literary work based on the reality of social life experienced and then developed into a literary work with the addition of scenarios that arise from the imagination and creativity of the author in real life. And then for the next, I would like to explain about the basic principle of mimesis. The basic principle of mimesis refers to Plato's point of view that a perfect form is something that exists in an ideal form, or something that exists in our mind or our imagination. So in the principle of mimesis, a literary work is an imitation or a copy of a reality, and reality itself is a work that is born from our minds. So maybe that's all for the material of the definition of mimetic theory and then the basic principle of mimesis. And then from now, I would like to explain our opinion, what we think about Plato's argument to Al-Quran Surah Ash-Shu'ara, verse 221 until 227. And after we read the both, we think at first maybe I would like to read the Plato's argument. All poetical imitations are ruinous to the understanding of the hearers, and that the knowledge of their true nature is the only antidote to them. And then for the second one is Al-Quran Surah Ash-Shu'ara. I would like to read it first. And shall I tell you upon whom it is that those evil spirits descend? They descend upon all sinful self-deceivers, who readily lend ear to every falsehood, and most of whom lie to others as well. And as for the poets, they too are prone to deceive themselves, and so only. Those who are lost in grievous error would follow them, although not aware that they roam confusedly through all the valleys of words and thoughts, and that they so often say what they do not do or feel. Most of them are of this kind, save those who have attained to faith, and do righteous deeds, and remember God unceasingly, and defend them. Okay, maybe for the next, I will comparing Plato's argument to Al-Quran Surah Ash-Shu'ara, verse 221 until 227. At first, I would like to read both of Plato's argument and then verse of Ash-Shu'ara. Plato's arguments state that all poetical imitation are ruinous to the understanding of the hearers, and that the knowledge of their true nature is the only antidote to them. And then for the next surah of Ash-Shu'ara, and shall I tell you, upon whom it is that those evil spirits descend? They descend upon all sinful self-deceivers, who readily lend ear to every falsehood, and most of whom lie to others as well. And as for the poets, they too are prone to deceive themselves, and so only those who are lost in grievous error will follow them. Art thou not aware that they roam confusedly through all the valleys of words and thought, and that they so often say what they do not do or feel? Most of them are of this kind, save those who have attained to faith, and do righteous deeds, and remember God unceasingly, and defend themselves only after having been wronged, and trust in God's promise that those who are bent on wrongdoing will in time come to know how evil a turn their destinies are bound to take. Okay, between Plato's argument and 7 verses of Ash-Shu'ara, we think that both have in common that all the poetic imitations referred to by Plato are imitation of the realm of ideas, and that it can damage the understanding of the listener, or maybe something that different with an idea where the work was made from. And this is similar to the verse of the Quran, which explain that the poet is said to be a liar. The lie in question is a poetic imitation of the perfect realm for Plato, and that is the realm of ideas. However, there is something that can refute the lie. If according to Plato, it is true nature, then in the Quran, this is intended for those who believe and do good deeds. Maybe that's all for the topic discussion.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is Ripal Puji Rahayu. My ID number 11950301911. Here I will answer the question of the discussion topic from the book Introduction to Criticism. Number 1, what is an aroused representation? An aroused representation is beliefs, opinions, method are only partly correct. Or in aroused representation is areas from the inability of the forecast model to accurately simulate of the climatology of the truth. This framework show that the lack of the universe and the relationship between the true climatology, true actor, and the forecast climatology, forecast actor leads to the error of the representation. A new gain metric of the data assimilation problem is derived illustrated of the proper processes. One may take a perform-based data assimilation when to be observation are of state on one attractor, but the forecast model decided on another. And number two, why Plato assert we need to establish the censorship of the fiction. The first is loss of self-control ourselves on the thing that have been determined. Second, the emergence of the other side. This is the negative in us to understanding something. Number three, there is no limit in understanding, so that negative thing appear to can harm ourselves. For the example, we can look in the page 16 in the book. Ademetanus, they are stories not be reverted in our state. The young man should not be told that in the committing the worst, the crime, he is far from doing anything outrageous, and that even if he castigates his father when he does wrong, in whatever manner, he will only be following the example of the first and the greatest among the gods. Just it from me, and the last, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello, my name is Setia Cipta Pratama. Here I will discuss topic discussion number 1 and 4. Topic discussion number 1 is how does Plato views literature? Literature, according to Plato, is the result of imitation or a picture of reality. A literary work must be an example of the universe and at the same time a model of reality. Therefore, the value of literature is getting lower and far from the world of ideas. Now, the topic discussion number 4 is what is the relationship between idea and mimesis? Before going into the topic of discussion, let's get to know what mimesis is and the idea in general. Mimesis comes from the Greek word meaning imitation. In relation to literary criticism, mimesis is defined as an approach that links literary works with reality. At the same time, the idea is a result of human thinking about something that is perfect and cannot be changed. Ideas by humans can only be known through reason. It is impossible to see or touch with the five senses. Well, now we will discuss the relationship between ideas and mimesis. The relationship between the two is related because in mimesis, to produce an idea, it takes an object that is imitated to be observed as the first step to develop the idea. From the result of observations, accompanied by a truth, will produce an idea that is based on the initial imitated object. That's from me. Thank you.
Okay, maybe that's all we can share in this meeting. And in the end, we would like to say sorry if there are plenty of mistakes we have in this presentation. And thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.